Oh, hello, hello. Well, good morning. Thank God for another good day. Thank you, Lord, for another beautiful day, for another opportunity to share with people. Um, Being an artist, being an animator. Thank you, Lord. Anyways, so we are moving forward continually on this scene. We're getting closer to being done with it. Today is the 23rd of July, and yeah, we just got a few more drawings to paint here, and I think we'll be done. Those stripes are flickering, though, but I don't know. I'm gonna have to make a decision about it. I think maybe if the scene is finished and I'm fine with it, I might just go ahead and live with the stripes fluttering like that. I generally like to make things work as well as I could possibly make them work, so we'll see what I do about that if I make any changes. So, once again, make sure that when you're doing your inking, you're set on a solid color here. We're going to ink with that. We're going to use this color here for the ink line. As you can see, that's the same color we're using. We've been using that continuously for the skin and the hair. I have the brush size set. If you're working on a project, especially if you're working on one project at a time, usually your setup is already going to be set to work a certain way, so you don't have to change it every day. But that depends on you. I mean, if you're working on more than one type of project uh, in a week or something, then obviously you're going to end up changing your brush settings and other settings. So a lot of it will depend, the efficiency of finishing a project might be kind of based upon the fact that you're doing one thing at a time instead of saying doing several. If you're doing more than one project in a week and you're using the same software, then obviously you're going to be changing the settings on your software frequently for the different projects that you're going to be working on, and that's just normal. So just be aware that that does tend to slow you down. I've made the mistake sometimes of trying to do several projects at the same time, and I found that when I have to reset everything every time I'm doing a project or a different thing, I find that that's distracting and time consuming. And anything you can do to make your project go smoother and faster is what I would suggest you do. But sometimes you just don't have that luxury. If you're doing a job for a client and you say you've got, say, more than one job going at the same time, well, then it's just going to be impossible for you to, keep your settings consistent from, one project to the next, because you're going to have to change them because every project's going to be a little different, right? So that's just normal. But anyway, I bring that up only because it's a little thing, but when you're on a schedule and you're trying to finish something and you've got deadlines, that little thing can become a big thing. So just be aware of that. So, anyways, all right. So, so like for instance, I can just sit right down and I can start doing, cleanup of the ink line directly right away because I know that I've got to get, I know I've already got certain things set in the software. I know that this is already set to, you know, the ink line is set at 6 pixels. So, I know that's the right size. So I don't have to, go and set it. It's already set there. So then I just start working, and it's boom, it's already set. Um, some things too, you get used to working in one setting, and then you don't realize that your software doesn't always work. Um, because of a way that you work, say, in another software. I'll give you an example. One of the things that I was doing, I think I mentioned this a few weeks back, that, like, for instance, where I do the um, I'm using the hand here, like this little hand, and I can move this around. That works better if I use the hand in this software instead of using it, say, the way I would if I were working in Photoshop. Like in Photoshop, I might be able to use the space bar on the computer and do you know, use that, and I can still get the same effect, but for some reason, um, I find that when I don't use the function, that particular function in the software itself, it lags or it doesn't want to work as well. Because sometimes the way software is designed is if you've got a function that's built into the actual software, the way that code is written for that particular function is the way it likes to use that function. So so if you don't use it that way, then it'll lag or it'll do something weird and funky, whatever. So I will use the software. I'll use the function in that software so that I don't have a problem with it. Like I was grabbing the image and I was using it, like a space bar, boom, because that's a keyboard, what do you call it, a keyboard shortcut. Well, it still worked, but it didn't work very well. It's like the response that I was getting from the software was working against what I was doing. So I realized, oh, okay, I guess maybe I better not work that way, using that particular method, even though it's a keyboard shortcut. Um, uh, it wasn't responding well. Is what I'm saying. It wasn't. It was. It didn't like. It understood what I was doing, but it didn't like the way I was doing it. So in other words, software can be sensitive to the way it's written, and so that's another concern that sometimes you need to be aware of when you're working on a project. Is your software content with the methodology of how you're using it, or does it require a specific, um, you know, a specific way that it should be used? Because if it does require a specific way that it's used, then you're better off using it that way. That way you get the best use out of it, and it doesn't. You're not fighting the software. That's what I'm saying. Okay, it's a long-winded way of saying work within the structure of the software that you have. If the software is accustomed to a certain methodology, then don't fight against that approach. Use it, and then you're going to get the best results. Okay, so let's see. We got our. Oh, there we go. And our shirt. Let's see. All right. Let's see here. Yeah, because see, like when I was using the keyboard shortcut and I would move it up, it's like I couldn't get it to stop. It would just keep drifting out of the frame because even though the space bar gives me the hand and the mouse will let me move the object, that's not how that function was written into this software. It still worked. It's just that it didn't work its control was not responding properly, if I could put it in a terms that could be understood. So check your software when you're working, and look to see what functions does your software have, and what is it. If there's a function like select tool, whatever, use that function in that software, and you're going to get the best effect from it. Because a lot of, I think some software might allow you to reset it so that you can get keyboard shortcuts to work. Um, some software will do that. So you'd have to check and see if the software that you're using for the project that you're on is set that way. Because some do. I think, like, for instance, Storyboard Pro, which I use a lot, I think does do that. I think it's sensitive enough that you can use a keyboard shortcut. Sometimes it will even encourage you. It'll say in the manual somewhere, it'll let you know that it's all right for you to use keyboard shortcuts, because some software is designed that way. I think the more advanced softwares, I guess, take that into account. So Rough Animator, I believe was probably written and coded by an animator. So it could be that the entire program setup was built on that code, and the animator just designed it that way so that they didn't take into account keyboard shortcuts. But I don't know, these things get updated a lot too. So when that sometimes in an update, they'll say, oh, we're going to now make this available, or we're going to allow you to do this or that, extra thing that we didn't initially write the software in that way, but now we've written this new thing. So now your software will respond, because updates that will happen. People will update their software, and it'll give you, more flexibility. So, you can pay attention to things like that when you're making your film. So all those things are very helpful in getting you to get your film made the way you want it. Because see, I know a lot of folks, and I've gotten kind of accustomed to this myself, where in animation I was always accustomed to using both hands. I'd use one hand to draw, my right hand to draw, my left hand to flip the drawings. And then, of course, when I started working on a computer, animating a computer, I didn't have anything for my left hand to do, because it's just the way things were designed. But then I started using keyboard shortcuts with my left hand, and so that gave my left hand something to do, which was great, because like I say, you get accustomed when you've been doing something a certain way for a long time. Your hands get accustomed to doing things. So it was perfect for me to be able to use my left hand to do the keyboard shortcuts. But, like I said, with this software, that didn't always play out like I wanted it to. And because this particular software didn't seem to appreciate me doing that. So, you know, sometimes I didn't even notice it. I remember the very first time I did notice it, I think, was with the hand, that particular function. I had gotten so accustomed to using a keyboard shortcut that I didn't even really notice that my computer wasn't happy when I did that using the keyboard shortcut. I didn't notice it because I had become so. Because with Storyboard Pro, I could do it no problem. I didn't even have to think about it. I just automatically was, oh yeah, it's fine. I'll use the keyboard shortcut. But then I had to. Once I saw that 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 Rough Animator wasn't happy with me working that way, then I had to kind of go back and go, oh, all right, all right, all right. You want me to do it this way? All right, I'll do it this way. So everything is kind of a learning experience. You know, and see, for me too, it's all of this computer stuff has been a learning experience because I've been so accustomed as an older animator to working on paper that for me everything was new. Drawing on a computer, that was just like foreign to me. It's like how do you do that? So that was always a big issue for me, is making that shift. Um, but luckily, because I've always embraced these new things and I like them, that made it a lot easier for me because I wanted to learn it. Um, so wasn't quite so bad. Let's see here. Brush. So the line tool. I tell you, that line tool. And see, that's like, once again, I feel some little things. It's like this is what I love about the YouTube community, is that there's so much information out there that people are sharing with one another. And that's something that is very helpful, that you can get answers. If there's something that you don't know, there's probably somebody out there that'll tell you, you know. And I just think that's wonderful that you can go on YouTube and, you know, probably find a video where somebody will tell you, oh, yeah, you can do this, and that's going to help you to get this job done or that job done. That's wonderful. That's great. That's great that we can help one another um, with projects, because, it can be frustrating sometimes when you're trying to figure something out and you don't have the answer, that somebody's already kind of um, figured that out, and they'll take the time to like help you. That's just really nice, I think. I love that. Yeah, those blasted stripes, man. Those stripes. Oh boy. Uh, let's see. If I'm going, okay, so if I start here, yeah, see, well, it probably starts right there, doesn't it? Looks like the stripe is going up his arm to there. That doesn't seem so bad. That's okay. See, that's all right. Up, see, that's where it looks like it's shifting up. See, now, why is that? Is it? Frickin' stripes. Oh, oh boy. Well, those freaking stripes, I tell you. Oh, it makes me so mad. Well, yeah, what are you gonna do, right? Yeah, indeed. Well, yeah. I may look the other way on this one. What? You're not gonna fix it? I don't know, man. I haven't decided yet. Oh, those freaking stripes. Oh, I got it on the straight line. Let's see. Take it back to there we go. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Nah. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I may just leave it. I mean, I know that's. It's like, you're gonna leave that one. I might. And I'm saying this. I'm saying this because you guys are out there making your own film. When you run into some little hitches, sometimes you got to be making decisions like this too. And you'll say, gee, is it really that important? Is it going to bother me that much if I don't change this, or do I change, Yeah, I guess it's an individual thing. I don't know. I haven't decided. I try, trying my best. I was trying my best to make sure that that wasn't going to be a problem. But I knew, and I know I'd said to you guys before when I was working on this a few days ago, I said, sometimes the only way you can tell that you're going to have a problem when you're dealing with stripes on a character is that when you paint it, when you finally paint it and you see it, then you're going to know it's jumping. But then you got to go back, fix it. But I'll be honest with you, I don't know if I really want to. I'm being honest, I'm not sure I want to. I mean, maybe I will. Maybe I will. So, but I got to be honest that it's like, it's just a freaking hassle because I kind of tried to fix it in the drawing, but and I thought I did, but clearly some things are awry. Probably what I should have done now that I think back on it, I think I know what I should have done when I missed it. I probably should have counted the stripes and where I was putting them. I was flipping the drawings and looking at it, and at one point it looked okay. But then, after I did that, I think I did say, well, once you paint it, you're going to know for sure. And boy, if that isn't the truth. It's almost like in some ways, it's almost like you don't want to design characters with stripes because you're going to have that problem. You don't want that problem. I mean, it looks great on one drawing, but then when you suddenly you have to do 20 drawings now where they all got stripes, that's when it starts to become a problem. Because now you gotta chart that and make sure that that your stripes are not jumping around like they are on this drawing. So, anyways, well, one of the things that I noticed that, like, when I was an assistant at Disney and doing in betweens and stuff like that, cleanup, these are the kind of things that we were taught to kind of watch out for. And so you'd have to sit there and count the number of stripes. If you had a character that had stripes on their clothing, you had to count the stripes so that you had the right number of stripes, right? So if you did that, then that would kind of ensure that you were gonna have everything was gonna excuse me that everything was gonna be fine later, and that's kind of true. But every now and then, oh boy, you'd have that one scene, and oh man, I don't know, that kind of thing happened a lot, where you'd have something, whoops, that a scene, something that would slip through the cracks, and we wouldn't catch it until way, way later. And then it's like, oh boy. And most of the time what would happen is we would just say, we just say, you know what, we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to forget about it. And there'd be times that nobody would see it. Nobody would see it. It would go all the way to finish and color and everything. Nobody would do anything about it. They might see it like after the film is finished. That has happened where it's like, oh, it's all done and nobody. It's too late then. I guess it's one of the great things about 24 frames a second. It's like, well, realistically, the audience doesn't see. We can see 24 frames a second because we're animators. The audience kind of can't really see it. So you can have mistakes in something and you might not even notice it because, you just don't see it for whatever reason. It's just, it goes by so fast that you don't notice the mistake. You know, there's a mistake, but you don't see it. So it's a blessing. It's a blessing and a curse. A blessing and a curse. Yeah. It's our time, like, yeah. Blessing and a curse. It happens. Yeah, I wish there was a way of saying things would be easier, but it's not. Those damn stripes. Oh, brother. I wonder if there's an easy fix to that. Mm. Well, it might be. Now that I look at it, I wonder if. Hmm. Well, let's see. I guess. So if, like, let's say, okay, you're here. So let's say you got to here. So what would you have to do? What would you have to do to fix that? So if you were going from there to there, so okay, there, there, there. Yeah, so it looks like it's just traveling up. Let's see if you're going there, there, there. So you'd be there, 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 there. Okay, wait a minute. Let's see. Yeah, okay, I see what it is. So you've got, yeah, okay. Well, let's see, I suppose. Uh, hmm. Well, here's a thought. Let's say we take this. Let's say we draw a line here. Right? Okay. Right? And let's say is it gonna was it filling in the front? Let's see if we do that. Alright. So let's say that then let's say we draw a red line here. Okay. And we do that. Then we draw another line here. We talk about fudging your way through something. And then we do that. Then we draw another line here. And we do that. What does that do? Does that help? Let's see. Well, it'll help that one frame. Let's see. So if we're going from here to here to there to there. Yeah, actually, that did kind of help that a little bit. Now we're going to there. Hmm. Well, let's play it. Gosh, look at that. That actually took a little bit of the curse off of that, didn't it? Just a little bit. Hmm. Well, see, yeah, it's not perfect, but better. All right. Well, what do you know? Well, there you have it. Okay, so anyways, let's see. There are ways to fix things. It's not completely fixed, but it's better than it was. All right. Well, we'll stop here. All right, folks. Well, hey, that was that was interesting. So even though it was a little messed up there with the stripes are jumping, and they still are jumping a little bit. So, but I just realized by doing what I just did that actually I improved the possibility that this will be easier to fix maybe after as I'm painting it. So I'll keep implementing that. All right, good people. Have a beautiful day. I will see you guys tomorrow. Jesus is Lord.